good to go. All right, morning rockers. This is Misti-Dawn with the Manamal Streaming Radio. I'm here talking to Mike Nagy, bassist for Apocalyptic Lovers. Thanks so much for joining me, Mike. How are you today?
Morning. Good. I'm doing great. How are you? Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I'm doing pretty well this morning. For our listeners, you may remember the band's former name, Love and War, from the 1990s. These guys have been around for a long time. Mike, you guys have a great backstory. Could you give our listeners a quick history of the band?
Yeah, trying to make a long story short, we were formed in the early 90s, like 91. Dave and I started together. Actually, Dave and I have been playing since 1986 in bands before that too, but we wanted to form an originals band, and through all the trials and tribulations, hooked up with Rob and Sean in the early 90s. I played probably about 3 years with them originally before I left and gave way to our second bass player, George. The band as a whole stayed together probably up until like 1997, before the grunge scene kind of took over and basically crushed that music scene up in Ohio. So we were together for early 90s to late 90s, and I was with them for like the first 3 years, and then a brief stint in between the second and third bass player.
You guys. Now I've listened. I've actually remembered you shortly after I saw Love and War. I remember listening to a song that it was off. It's one of the songs on the Redemption album. And I did want to say to you that the Redemption Volume 1 is an amazing album name. It's so fitting for the band's journey. Were there other possible names, that you were throwing around?
I think the only one that I can remember was Change of Frequency, one of the songs on the album, which is actually the song that pretty much got us back together again. That's the song that Dave wrote the lyrics for, about a family member that had passed way too early. Had got in contact with Sean to see what he was up to see if he'd be interested in writing some music to it, send it off to Sean, and we got this big epic back called Change of Frequency. So I think that was in the works for a potential album title name in the beginning. But then, like you said, we kind of started thinking about, the whole reason we got back together again to re-record was to re-record the material that we did back in the early 90s, that we released a CD that was not of high quality at all, not something that we were very happy with. It was a very rushed process, didn't come out sounding anything like what we have now. So it was a redemption for us. We wanted to go back and redeem ourselves and have the songs on a CD and recorded the way that we knew that they could sound and how they should sound. So that's basically where the redemption part came from.
Now, going back to the song Change of Frequency, that song evokes a lot of emotion, and anyone can actually relate to that. Can you tell us how that song came about?
Without going into too much detail, again, it was a very personal song for Dave and his family. A family member passed at a very young age, so he was going back to pick up his wife at the airport after she attended the funeral, and I guess some lyrics just started coming to him on the car ride, so when he got back home, he wrote them down. And it's basically, if you listen to the lyrics and take a really good look at them, it's about that person's perspective that, life's going to go on for us, that they've just had a change of frequency, and, just a whole different sort of perspective that I think it was very personal for Dave and his family, and obviously they can relate to it, but I think people in general listening to the lyrics in the song can probably relate to it and relate it to their lives as well, and people that they may have lost.
Absolutely. The first time I heard it, I almost took my breath away. It's beautifully written. It's a brilliant song. Brilliant.
Thank you. And it was like I said, we had been apart for 20 some years, and Dave tracked us all down and got us all in contact again, and the lyrics came to him for this, and this was the impetus for us getting back together again and recording. It's just amazing. Sean's just an amazing guitar player and songwriter in general, but the music that he put to the lyrics that Dave came up with, it was an amazing piece of music.
Most definitely. Now, you guys are all from different states. How difficult is that to make work?
It's difficult, but at least in this day and age, with the technology available, we can ship song ideas around and record parts and pass them back and forth, which obviously back in the 90s, that technology really wasn't there. So obviously in the 90s, we were based out of Youngstown, Ohio, and we were all together then. But now Dave, the drummer, lives out in Arizona. Sean, the guitar player, is in Rhode Island. Rob, our singer, is in Pittsburgh, and I'm in Virginia. So it's difficult because we'd like to be closer together, to get together and have writing sessions and jam sessions and to be able to play more often. But at least the technology is available to us to record and pass songs around. So that helps a lot.
Great. Now I bet you're ecstatic that this is coming out. This is out on vinyl. I mean, what was the decision process to have it for you to put it out album-wise?
We wanted to put it out originally with the CD on vinyl, but at the time the cost was just way too much. Vinyl was still in its early stages of its resurgence, and a lot of the plants weren't even up and running, and it was the cost was way too exorbitant to put it out on vinyl. Dave and I are huge vinyl fans, so this is always something that we wanted, was to hear our songs on vinyl. And actually, we were about to put the whole Redemption Volume 1 CD marketing and all that to bed. We've been marketing it and pushing it for over 2 years now with great success. But then Rob came across a company overseas called Diggers that has basically a no-risk opportunity for bands and fans alike. If you want to get your music released on vinyl, the only requirement for them is to get 100 pre-orders in a set amount of time. The vinyl will be pressed. So we have, I think, 55 orders in right now. We need 20 more by next Monday to get an extension on our timeline, and 40 more overall to get our 100 in. And then the vinyl will be pressed. So if it doesn't happen, and hopefully that it will, everybody gets their vinyl. Dave and I have a check mark on our bucket list, and everybody's happy. But if it does not happen, then everybody gets a full refund. There's no risk to the band. There's no risk to the fans. So trying to get people enticed into ordering it, because a lot of our fans obviously already have either the MP3s or one of our CD releases. We've included a two-sided 5x7 autograph photo and a customized guitar pick. And Dave just announced a couple days ago that the first 100 orders, not only will the vinyl be numbered, but everybody who ordered one of those copies will have their name printed in the thank yous in the liner notes. So hopefully that will entice enough people into ordering the final 20 for the extension and 40 to get the vinyl pressed.
That's a pretty good incentive for people to go out and buy this. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, we think so. I mean, that's the kind of stuff I look for as a fan.
Right, absolutely.
Someone who has multiple copies of so many releases, if they're going to do something different.
Right. And then the numbered, I don't know. I see a lot of bands doing that kind of stuff now, which brings them closer to their fans, and that's what we as fans like, to be able to, maybe talk among the social media has helped immensely too, being able to talk to you and feeling a part of your music.
Yeah, so, social media is great. We keep in contact with a whole number of fans on social media. Yeah. We've had a friend of ours now, Joe Clayton, who's been a big supporter, bought the CD and then contacted Dave and asked if he can get the cover signed if he sent it to him. So yeah, obviously we're going to do that. So he sent it to Dave, and then Dave sent it to Sean. Sean sent it to Rob. Rob sent it to me, and I sent it back to Joe. And he's happy. We're happy. Everybody's happy. And it's definitely adds a more of a personal touch that you couldn't, again, with technology today and social media, right, something to do in the past.
Now, going over your list of influences, it's all like walking right back into the 80s. You can hear nuances of a lot of them in your music. Who would you compare yourself to?
First and foremost, I think everybody in the band agrees there's a heavy influence of Dokken. That's why it was so exciting, and we can touch on this maybe, having Michael Wagner mix the album. That was something that kind of came out of nowhere. But Dokken's a big influence. Rat, Motley Crue, Saigon Kick. I'm going to miss a million of these bands. Great White. Stryper, Rob and I are huge Stryper fans. So any of that 80s hard rock, melodic rock, heavy metal are huge influences for all the band members and pretty much all of us together.
That's great. It has to be a thrill going back to Michael Wagner mixing on this album. I mean, he's worked with some pretty heavy hitters like Ozzy, Skid Row, and Dokken. How did that all come about?
Again, it came completely as a shock to me when I heard. We went into the studio over a 3-day period to record these 8 songs. Again, this was more for us just to have some, a quality recording of this music that we love so much. And it went phenomenally well because we hadn't seen each other in 20 years. We hadn't played together in 20 years. And we got into the studio and it was like we'd never been apart. Laid all the tracks down. The recording came out great. So Dave just took it upon himself. And let me just throw this in there. Dave graciously has, for the last couple of years, taken on the role of manager / promoter for the band. Although he's looking for someone to take that on full time. He's done a great job managing and promoting the band. He took it upon himself to contact some big name producers, one of them being Michael Wagner, and got an immediate response back. Michael liked what he heard and was interested in working with us. So the next thing we know, we're set up to go into Michael Wagner's Wire World Studios in Nashville the weekend after Thanksgiving of 2015, I guess it was. And that's pretty much how it happened.
That's awesome. Well, what are your favorite tracks on this album, on the Redemption 1 album?
That's tough, and we all have the same problem answering this question. There's 8 songs on there, and we truly do love them all. There's no filler on the album at all. My favorite, I'd have to go with The Groove, mainly because one, it's got a cool bass line for me. I pretty much get to just, go crazy and do what I want. It's got a great groove to it, which is hence the name, The Groove. It's also been one of our crowd favorites since we pulled it out in 91, 92. It's always been one of the most popular songs in the crowd. But I'm also a huge fan of Better Days and These Tears, Change of Frequency. I love Change of Frequency is the newest song, obviously, that we had written. And I just love the way that whole song came out. So The Groove for the performance aspect of it, and Change of Frequency, These Tears.
Now, do you all write, or is it just mainly one?
Sean's the main songwriter. He wrote most of the material back in the day, music and words. Rob would contribute lyrics. Obviously, we all contributed our own parts. But Dave has come on as a lyricist lately. I know he's sent probably 3 or 4 or 5, maybe even more songs to Sean, and Sean's working on the music. I see some songs flying by my email every couple of days or so with Sean adding music to Dave's lyrics and whatnot. So those two are writing a lot. I know Rob has a song that he sent and completed music and lyrics to. I guess I'm the one lagging behind here, so I need to get going so I get something on this next release.
Now, well, that's going to be Redemption 2. Do you have, are these songs that will be on Redemption 2, or is Redemption 2 already in progress and you're almost?
Well, Redemption 2 is in progress, but there's been a change in the sense that we decided as a band to go away from the whole Redemption name again. The initial idea was to do a series of 6 to 8 song EPs, trying to crank them out at least one a year. And with the amount of material that's being generated recently, we decided to go for more of a 10 to 12 song full length release. And we're going to get away from the whole Redemption name. We feel like we've redeemed ourselves with the release. So we're going to move on from that and go to a completely different name for the next release. And actually, we're kind of working on 2 projects at once here. We had planned on, like I said earlier, we planned on kind of getting away from the marketing for Redemption Volume 1. We were going to do a covers EP of all the hard rock metal songs that influenced us, as we talked about earlier, is sort of an in-between to bridge the gap to the next release. But we have an opportunity coming up next February to play in Miami at a pretty big show in front of a crowd of our fans, the 80s music fans. So we decided to kind of focus more on this new release, so we have that out before we go down there. But we are still kind of working concurrently on a covers EP and the next release, and we hope to have them both out by the end of the year.
Good luck, good luck. Looking forward to hearing that for sure. Now, what is the greatest piece of advice you have received regarding the ins and outs of the music scene?
Well, you got to be patient. There are no overnight successes anymore. Not that there really were before, because all the overnight successes, if you talk to them, that they had been, playing together and chugging it out for year after year after year before they finally broke through. I think you just have to have a passion for the music, and you have to love what you do, and don't expect success. And if it comes, enjoy it. We did get some good advice going back into the recording studio from a pretty big name producer. Dave was in contact with early on, and he called into the studio, and I think he was familiar with the old material and the new material, what we were trying to do, and just basically told us to slow things down and let the songs breathe. So if anybody's familiar with the old Love and War release and knows what that sounds like compared to what this release sounds like here, I think we've accomplished that. We've kind of slowed things down, and you can kind of really dig in and hear all the intricate little parts and all the harmonies and all the songs. So that helped a lot.
That's great. Now, do you guys have a band motto by any chance?
Band motto? No, I've never thought. No, I don't think we do. I've never heard that question.
I came across that question, and I thought, you know what? That's a pretty good question, because you usually stand. But I guess in a way your music speaks for itself, so you really don't even need to have the motto, Yeah. Now I do have a few questions from a few of your fans, and one would like to know, what is your favorite food?
My favorite food? The obvious choice for me, if you know me, is chocolate or anything sweet. Outside of that, I'm a sucker for my mom's pasta, my wife's pasta. I've been lucky. I had my mom's pasta growing up, and my wife makes pasta and sauce every Sunday. So that's probably, I could probably eat pasta every day if I had to.
Can't go wrong there whatsoever. The second fan would like to know, which artist would you totally fan out over?
The biggest one, and this is somewhat recent, would be Billy Sheehan. He is my bass idol. Has been since I first learned of him in a band called Talus years and years and years ago, before he played with David Lee Roth. And I recently had the opportunity, I think maybe 2.5 years ago, he did a bass clinic up the road in Maryland, and my son and I went up there. The owner of we got there early, of course, and the owner of the store, I was talking to him, and I had to use the restroom, so he showed me, how to go down the hallway to the back of the store, make a left. So as I'm going down this little hallway in the back of the store in this tight little corridor, making a left to go into the bathroom, I go to open the door, and none other than Billy Sheehan comes out. And I was, I didn't know what to say. So that was my big fan moment, to walk into my bass idol like that, coming out of the bathroom as I was coming in this music store in Maryland. That was something else. But he was a super nice guy. He's awesome. Very friendly, easy to talk to, and obviously an amazing bass player. So he's definitely my one fanboy moment. And outside of that, I'm a huge Kiss fan. So getting to meet them back in the 90s again at the conventions, and they actually came to a club called the Magic Twanger in Youngstown and did some autograph stuff there. That was pretty exciting.
Speaking of Kiss, you are in a Kiss tribute band, is that correct?
That is correct. Believe it or not, this is Gene Simmons. You have a blank palette to work with, so it works out pretty well. If anybody goes to, I think it may be on Twitter, my Twitter feed, or my Facebook feed, you can see some of the shots with my most recent Gene appearance. So I do Gene, and I do another cover band here in Virginia as a side project as well. So I keep myself busy with music. We play quite a bit. The Kiss band plays probably like 4 times a year, but it's fun. It's definitely it's a long day. The makeup's on for 6 to 8 hours, depending on the venue. and I get to wear the full armor and the boots and everything else. So it's a good time. Thank God for my wife. If I didn't have her, I literally couldn't. I don't know how Gene does it, but I can't even put my bass guitar on when I put the armor on. So she has to put the bass on and connect the in-ear monitors and the wireless and everything else.
Kudos to your wife.
Definitely.
And I also read that you are a firefighter.
I am. I worked 24 hours yesterday.
Oh my goodness. Well, I have nothing but the utmost respect for you. Do you? I mean, once a firefighter, always a firefighter in your heart. I know this. I live in a town that's very small, and everybody always rallies behind our fire department because our guys are volunteer.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference between your music, like when you're out doing your music, or being a fireman? Are you more at ease on stage? Do you understand what I mean? Like, are you?
Yeah, I think I know. I'd say I'm more at ease on stage. I've been a firefighter for 14 years, so I've been doing that for a while as well. But I've been playing for 30 some years, so I would say I'm more at ease on stage because at least I know for the most part what's coming. My only fear on stage has always been, one of those nightmare things that you totally blank out and forget words and forget parts and they're just sitting there. Luckily, I don't think that's really ever happened. But as a firefighter, you truly don't know what you're going to encounter every day, and we're on for 24 hours, so who knows? And we have the county that I'm in is 225 square miles and a population of over 300,000. So, who knows?
Wow. Well, like I said, you guys, you are completely, I just respect you so much.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that.
What's the most rock star thing you have ever done?
You might want to rethink that question and ask somebody else. Actually, most of us in the band are we're pretty down to earth. We're pretty normal people. We have a passion for the music and for what we do, and it's mostly about the music. I apologize to the fans and to you. I don't really have any wild rock star stories. I don't tend to go to a hotel and trash it and throw TVs out windows and smash up guitars and all that crazy stuff. We're not big partiers. We never did drugs. I rarely drink. I'm sure there's been some shenanigans with the members of the opposite sex back in the day. Stories we might not want to tell. I definitely had a collection of female undergarments in one of my bass cases for a while. I'm not sure where those got to, but that was a long time ago.
What's the strangest venue or gig you've ever played?
Well, with Love and War, and now with Apocalyptic Lovers, I can't say that. There's been some really great venues, and back in the day, in the '90s, clubs were set up for bands and for music, and they had nice stages, big stages, with lights and their own built-in PA system. So there wasn't anything too crazy or weird back then. Outside of, I think it was Erie County Fair, maybe. I remember playing. It was outdoors at a fair, and it was hot. It was probably, approaching 100 degrees, and it was very windy too. So there were hot winds blowing on you, and here's us with our long hair and our spandex jeans, pants, the crazy clothes that we wore back in the day, and our long hair blowing in the hot wind, and behind us you had farm animals and tractors. So there was that. More recently, a band that when I first got back into playing bass, because when I moved here to Virginia in '96, I actually didn't play for probably close to 15 years. I just flat out quit. But when I got back into it, I played with an original band here in Virginia, and we did some interesting shows. We played on the short track, dirt track in the field once. We played outside the Richmond Coliseum for a CAA basketball tournament. I'm not quite sure how the heavy metal and sports basketball crowd thing came about. But maybe the weirdest one was at the Richmond Convention Center with the same band. We played for an indoor roller derby. Well, I guess they're all indoor, but for a female roller derby league. So here was us playing a couple songs before they started and in between each period, and then the girls would go out on skates and beat themselves up. So
that sounds like fun.
That was definitely different. It was 3 songs and people on skates trample on each other. 3 more songs and more fights on skates. So
that would have been fun to watch, though. That's for sure.
I would definitely do it again.
Is there anything else you would like the listeners and your fans to know that we might not have covered today?
I think the only thing I didn't mention was where to go order the vinyl, and you can get that if you go to apocalypticlovers.com. Go to our website. You can get all the information there, including the radio stations like Manamal that are playing us and supporting us. There are direct links to order the vinyl. And again, we're coming. It's crunch time. So May 7th, we need 20 more orders by Monday to get this extended again. And then 40 overall to get the vinyl pressed. And if we get those orders in, the sooner we get the 100 in, the sooner everybody gets their vinyl and gets this thing pressed. So I think that's the only thing. We've got, like I said, a new release and a covers EP hopefully out by the end of the year. We're constantly in conversations about playing live gigs. Obviously, we talked about earlier us being kind of spread out across the country, with families and full-time jobs. It's kind of hard to get everybody on the same schedule to get together and play. But we have that opportunity in February coming up that we'll have some more information on soon. There's some other opportunities in like October, I think maybe out in Arizona that Dave's working on. And I'd love to get the guys here in Virginia to do a gig. So it's just a matter of everything falling in line. So vinyl, new releases, live performances, we're doing the best we can to keep busy and keep out there.
Looking forward to everything that you got going on. We wish you guys the best of luck.
Thank you.
Oh, Mike, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. It's really been a pleasure. For our listeners and your fans, you can follow Apocalyptic. Sorry, that's a little bit of a tongue twister today. Apocalyptic Lovers Facebook page under Apocalyptic Lovers, or on Twitter at Apo. It's APOCLOVERS, correct?
Yeah, I believe so.
Awesome. And while you are on their Facebook page, be sure to order their album Redemption Volume 1. The tracks are awesome, and you definitely do not want to miss this. So thank you so much, Mike. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Misty.
Good luck. We here at the Manamal got your back. Okay?
We appreciate it.
You're very welcome. You have a great day.
You too.